This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, and we're back.
We're back.
It's like after technical difficulties involving John's son getting disturbingly sick. But he's better now, right?
Yes, he's way better now.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. So, hey, we're back, and just like I promised at the end of the last podcast, I'm here to talk about X-Men. Now, really, there are two kinds of comics fans in the world. There are those who, A, still read X-Men, or B, stopped reading X-Men long ago because it just got too complicated, or they remember how badly it sucked during the 90s. Like, John, which kind of X-Men fan are you?
I'm the second one.
Okay, yeah, because with X-Men, I mean, they're responsible for the greatest stories in superhero fiction. Mm-hmm. But I mean, just like with any franchise gets massively popular, I mean, like you get your period where like everything's being built up, and it's like you're building a legend, and things are awesome. And then you get that period where you're kind of coasting on the legend. Like you're still milking the thing,
right.
But it's not as good as it used to be. Mm-hmm. And then like now like the franchise has been kind of in a decline for a while. But like even so, it's like all comics have been in decline for a good long time now. But even with X-Men, though, I mean, there's still good stuff to be had there. Right. I mean, but with X-Men, I mean, it's a special case because I mean, with X-Men. The thing comes up every time we talk about it. It's continuity. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's all this like it's not that you can't just like pick up a X-Men trade paperback and realize, okay, so I can just like read this cold. No, you have to like with most X-Men stuff. You have to know, okay, who are these people? What's the story that's gone before? And it's like, what am I getting myself into? Like for me, it's like I got into X-Men back in the 90s. Like I had a friend of mine who he knew all the stuff that was going on. Right. He had explanation of who all these characters are. I mean, he's the guy who could explain Cable's origin. And you're like, Cable's like, I love the guy. I mean, he's a freedom fighter from the future, sent to the present to change his future. And it's his greatest. And while he's got the mutant powers of telekinesis and telepathy, along with like being able to wield big fucking guns,
yeah, it's
like his greatest superpower was being able to become a viable character despite being created by Rob Liefeld. Yeah, because I mean, like he was created without an origin. I mean, like he was just created because like Rob Liefeld wanted to draw like a mystery guy who wielded big guns and knew Wolverine.
Yeah. And had the big guns.
Yeah, it's like all this has come to explain his origin has basically come after like years after the character was created. Mm-hmm. But still, it's like I'm getting ahead of myself. But still, that's the kind of thing that you're up against with X-Men, though. I mean, like with a lot of stuff these days, I mean, like, you can't really pick it up cold. But so really, this podcast isn't for anyone who's looking to get into X-Men.
Right.
It's for all those fans you're still reading it and you want to know like what's still decent.
No, reading it. If anyone's just seen the movies, that may not be enough of a background.
Yeah, to be honest, if you've seen the movie and you like X-Men, you want to read more, go look for the three softcover or hardcover or the main trade paperback volumes written by Grant Morrison. Mm-hmm. To be honest, that's all you need. And if you're just looking to read X-Men, just to see like that one great story, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that said, right now, like the X-Men are in kind of a quandary because a couple of years back during Marvel's big summer crossover, House of M, like the powers be at Marvel decided, hey, you know what? There are too many mutants. Let's go ahead and simplify things down. Like just make mutanity something special again, like having not many mutants out there. Mm-hmm. And so they had the Scarlet Witch basically say no more mutants, and like bam, 95% of all mutants lost their powers. And, like, rather than actually going and building on this setup, a lot of writers for the X titles went, oh, okay, that's fine. No, it's like, we're going to go back and tell the stories you want to tell. We're not going to, like, this whole No More Mutants business, yeah, it's like, well, what can we do with it, Mm-hmm. Where do we go from there? And at this point, like, the whole, like, all the thrust of the X titles is basically towards undoing all the stuff that House of M did, because it's kind of like led to a storytelling dead end. I mean, like, what can you do with the X-Men as an endangered species? Like, not a whole lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, some titles, like Peter David's X Factor, have done some good stories with that. But David has really been the only writer who's actually shown some interest in actually telling some actual stories based on the fallout from House of M. Mm-hmm. As it is right now, all the titles are basically working towards like, when are we going to like undo this thing? And right now, the pivot around which that concept rests is the most recent crossover, Messiah Complex. But this being an X-Men story, you can't just read a Messiah Complex cold.
Right.
Aside from the fact that it basically brings in all the 4 core X-Men titles at the time: Uncanny, Adjectiveless, X Factor, and Young X-Men. No, New X-Men. My bad. I'm trying to remember what the young team is called these days. Okay, but prior to that, it helps if you read the two crossover setting up novels, Blinded by the Light, written by Mike Carey, and The Extremists, written by Ed Brubaker. And they're both good X-Men stories. The Extremists, it sets up the fact that there's as it is, there are no future timelines for X-Men. All their alternate futures there are no mutants in any of them. But as it turns out, there's a book of prophecy out there, a new book of prophecy, because all the other ones are being eliminated, which I'll get to in a second. The X-Men are out to secure it from the Morlocks, who have been reading this and realize, hey, you know what? We've got to go out and start killing humans in order to make this new mutant-filled future come true. Mm-hmm. So really, it's just a story about actually setting up the crossover, than just being a story about terrorism, only one step removed from reality. And that's good, because it's one thing to show the X-Men dealing with mutant terrorists attacking New York City in a fictional sense, rather than just have them go to Iraq and have them take out all the insurgents there, stuff like that. And it works. It works pretty well, and the art by Salvador Larroca is pretty good too. Yeah, it's not a bad volume, and it's like I say, if you got some familiar with the X franchise, it's good readings. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other crossover setting up volume, Blinded by the Light, by Mike Carey, with art by Humberto Ramos, Chris Bacallo, and Mike Choi. That's actually, it has a much more direct tie-in to the crossover, because it basically shows you. It basically has the core X-Men group, which is a group from Astonishing: Cyclops, Wolverine, Emma Frost, Kitty Pryde, Colossus. Basically showing up to take care of Rogue, who has gone insane after absorbing the 8 million minds of the Hecatome from her adventures in Supernovas, which I talked about way back in the Continuity podcast. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so basically, Rogue's gone insane. The X-Men are trying to help her out, but it's there's some people who are out who don't think that they're going to do a job like Mystique, because Mystique, she basically exists to just betray the X-Men, which she does right here. Mm-hmm. And only this time, she's not that she's just betrayed them. She's teamed up with Mr. Sinister's Marauders, and they're out to take out the X-Men and to basically eradicate all other evidence of alternate futures. So basically, a lot of other characters who are from alternate futures get taken out here, including Cable, but not really, because he'll be back in a second.
Right.
Yeah, good. Yeah, but it's a good, but like Supernovas was, Blinded by the Light is a good example of Carey writing a smarter version of the X-Men as they were in the 90s. It's basically they're running around beating the crap out of each other, being profound about it, and but he does a good job of injecting a lot of character and personality to all the people's, and he also does introduce a nice twists, while the group led by Exodus under Mr. Sinister's directives is out to get the Destiny's Diaries. He finds out that, oh wait, the X-Men have been guarding blank books all this time. Why have they been doing that? Well, apparently because Emma Frost decided, hey, you know what? We can't actually let anyone know where these are. I have to set up a keyword to restore your memory to let everyone know where these diaries are, and then wipe your mind so you've forgotten that they're actually guarding blank books. That's clever stuff right there, and it's that's kind of plenty to expect from this volume, and it's certainly a lot of fun, and like I said, if you like Mike Carey's stuff for X-Men, it's highly recommended. That being said, now that we've led into the actual crossover Messiah Complex, I have to say that this is definitely one of the better X crossovers of all time. Because I've read a bunch of them, like Executioner Song, Fatal Attractions, the Onslaught stuff, in the Age of Apocalypse. And this one is good because more than anything else, what it succeeds in doing is simply the writers, they've got a plan. They know what they're doing for the franchise from here. Because even though you've got 4 different writers, I mean, you've got Brubaker, you've got Mike Carey, you got Peter David, and you've got Craig Kyle, well, 5 writers actually, because Craig Kyle and Chris Yost both write New X-Men. And you've got them basically telling the story of the first mutant birth since House of M, and while the X-Men basically arrive on the scene of this Alaska city that's been torched to the ground by not only Mr. Sinister and Marauders, but also this group called the Purifiers, a bunch of mutating humans who are who have their own religious reasons for wiping all mutants off the face of the earth. So now but as it turns out, neither of these guys actually has the baby. So now the X-Men have to take on both of them to find out where's this kid, and what are these guys up to. And even though you got all these writers telling their own stories, I mean, they actually do a good job of working together and actually telling a good coherent story. I mean, it's told in 3 arcs. I mean, you've got 3 issues you got the first arc of you got Uncanny, X Factor, New X-Men, and then X-Men, doing one round of those stories, telling the first story arc. Then you get the second round, telling the second, and then the third, wrapping everything up. I mean, it's cohesively told, and even though all the writers have their own personality, they still shine through to a certain extent, but they still no one left to submerge their own ticks to know that we're working on a big intertidal crossover, so we've got to make sure this is a story that's cohesively told across all these different titles, and it works. I mean, especially in the climax when everyone converges. I mean, everyone. And we're talking all the X teams versus all Sinister's bad guys going up against each other in Alaska, and then with Cable showing up because, hey, surprise, he's not dead. Big surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it turns out because Cable, he's got his own agenda for why he wants to save this girl, but save the mutant because he realized that, hey, you know what? If this girl stays in this present time, every group is going to want to stake a claim to her. So I've got to take her into the future so that she can grow up and be a normal kid without everyone trying to kill her all the time. And it's a good reason, but the thing is, not everyone agrees with him, including some of the other people from the future who realize, hey, you know what? If this girl was dead, it's my future would be a whole lot better. And that's kind of the lead out for the series from there on out. I mean, it's a Messiah Complex. It's good stuff. It convinces you that the writers have a plan for where they're going, even though it kind of in the end it kind of only exists to set up future stories for each of the X titles. And also to shoot Professor X in the head.
Ah, that's pleasant.
Oh yeah, it's it's one of those things, but it's also that ending thing right there is kind of oh well, yeah, Professor X got shot in the head, but we couldn't actually have enough ending pages to actually elaborate on that specifically, so we're gonna leave it to Carey to take up in his revamping of X-Men. More on that later. Yeah, and also one of the things I like about Legacy is that I like about the Messiah Complex trade paperback is that it's got a lot. It actually reprints the X-Men summit notes from when all the writers met to flesh out the Messiah Complex storyline. And I love this stuff. I mean, I'd rather have all stuff like this, all the writers talk about how this story came to be, as opposed to oh wait, we got sketch galleries for this volume. Oh, I could give a shit. But it's fascinating to read the storyline that they're outlined for a Messiah Complex, and then realize, oh wow, what they put down as notes really didn't translate to the page. I mean, they went through a lot of changes. I mean, it's good stuff, and I'd love to see more of this stuff in all trade paperbacks. But most Marvel and everyone else seems to be committed to just putting out sketch galleries at the back of each volume because that's cheaper, I guess. Okay. Anyway, well, I've been harping on about how a Messiah Complex shows that the writers have a plan for all the X titles afterwards. The follow-up is kind of well, well, we know kind of what we want to do, but we're kind of like we're gonna like kill time to see if all the audience wants to follow these new titles after after the Messiah Complex. Now, title that was set up the most after Messiah Complex is Cable, because after he escapes into the future, now they're giving him his own title to show his adventures with the baby, like in the future, in specifically New Jersey of 2043. Yeah, so he's going through the future. And he's also got the guy. Well, I kind of want to. I'm trying to avoid spoilers here, but I kind of want to see how far I can go, because really it's unavoidable to say that Bishop, the X-Man for the future, well, his future was basically brought about by a parent. He feels that this X-baby has, like, her birth was basically the Messiah that basically brought about his horrible future, and now he wants to kill her in order to prevent that future from coming to pass. Cable, he's out to protect her and save her. Right. So naturally, like, there's this opposition here.
Right.
Now, the first volume, Messiah War, confusingly titled Messiah War, because Messiah War is the title of the next crossover after Messiah Complex, and the actual title inside the single issues in the book is actually called War Baby. Yeah, it's like great job. But yeah, that kind of like right hand not knowing what the left hand is doing.
Sure, exactly.
That's common with Marvel these days.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And like the storyline, it's not bad. I mean, but the whole premise hinges upon the fact that Cable's chronometer gets broken to the point where he can't jump back in time. He can only jump into the future now. So he has to decide how am I going to manage this in order to save the kid? Like, I can't just keep jumping into the future like recklessly. Like, I gotta work this out, and I also got to deal with Bishop on my ass trying to find out where this is going. I mean, it's a decent story. I mean, it picks up on the threads of Messiah Complex well enough, but these first 5 issues really could have been told in 2. I mean, it's like the whole decompression thing. I want like more pages giving the story room to breathe. But when you got stuff like this, I mean, I look at this and think, we could have done this in 2, and it would have had the same effect. I mean, like, it's written competently by Dwayne Swierczewski. Got some nice over-the-top art by Ariel Olivetti, who's got an interesting realistic style, but his big burly guy style is well suited to Cable. Like, he's like big guy with the guns.
Right.
So, but it's not bad. And to be honest, it's kind of skippable. To be honest, so like, I mean, I guess you can probably wait and pick up on Cable when the Messiah War trade paperback comes out. Anyway, that being said, the same complaint applies to the follow-up issues for Uncanny X-Men. This volume, Divided We Stand, written by Ed Brubaker and illustrated by Mike Choi with some help from Ben Oliver in the last chapter. Well, basically, after the end of Messiah Complex, Cyclops said, hey, you know what, the X-Men, there's no Professor X, so we're going to disband for a while. Oh, but wait, we're only doing this to fool Iron Man and his initiative project from Civil War, so the X-Men don't have to subscribe to this stuff. But
right,
overall, it feels like a filler story, because when you've got because basically there are 2 storylines in this volume. I mean, you got Cyclops and Emma Frost finding out that San Francisco's been taken over by hippies. So we got to go over there and find out what the deal is. Mm-hmm. While Wolverine, Colossus, and Nightcrawler take a trip to Russia to figure out, to just try and find themselves, so to speak. but only finding a bunch of Russian government bad guys who realize, hey, you know what? We've noticed the X-Men, after this whole House of M business, all of their mutants, all the mutants affiliated with the X-Men, they haven't really been affected by any of these depowerings. What's up with that? Yeah, so it's a nice thread that should have been developed more, but it really isn't, because it sets up a big fight with one of the big 90s villains, Omega Red, because he's Russian and he's got those energy-sucking tendrils that works out. But ultimately, the point of this is for Cyclops and Emma Frost to save San Francisco from being overrun by hippies, and because there's this mind-controlling mutant that's basically out to bring that's basically latched onto these former hippies who just want to, like bring back peace and love and how things used to be to San Francisco.
Like, are they? Is the mutant like a liberal?
I admit so. No, she's an amnesiac.
Amnesiac.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with being liberal, by the way.
Yeah.
Folks.
Yeah, but the thing is, basically, ultimately, the story for this basically exists to just to get the X-Men to San Francisco. That's a new base, because like what better place for a bunch of mutants, like the most hated and feared minority in the Marvel universe, than the most liberal and the most liberal city in the United States.
Right.
It's like, and really like this,
we fit in well here.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like it's not bad, but like I said, it could have been done sooner.
Sure,
could have done sooner and shorter. Okay, now as far as the other titles go, I mean, like X Factor, like it's a Peter David's title. Well, basically, X Factor kind of had its heart ripped out as a result of Messiah Complex, because one of its characters was stuck in the future. Another one has basically decamped to join X Force, the mutant Black Ops team led by Wolverine. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not talking about that title here because I basically heard the first storyline was kind of crap. So I figured, it's like, just skip that.
Let's see if dogs lie.
Yeah. But X Factor, more than anything else, is basically just for Peter David to tell stories about Jamie Madrox, Multiple Man. And he's a character who, I mean, he's got his ability to split himself off into multiple versions of himself. He can go in any direction he wants, without actually having to choose one of his own. And as it is with X Factor, I mean, with Layla Miller, the girl who knows stuff, stuck in the future, and Rain Sinclair, Wolfsbane, basically taken off for reasons that she can't explain to us as a team without basically for reasons of secrecy for X Force. Like, I mean, they've got to find out. Like, well, like now that our heart is gone, like, what do we do? Like, what's the point of having an X Factor team at this point? I mean, again, and Madrox, she wants to keep things going because, like, what? This is all he's known. Like, this team setup is his family. But with everyone else just want to do whatever. I mean, it's like, what's he got to do? Enter Arcade, like one of the old X-Men villains, who's basically like his gimmick is just going around creating elaborate amusement park style death traps for no good reason. So basically, you got this really pointless character who says in pointless villain gimmicks, taking on this team who's got no reason to remain together in the first place. It's a risk. It could have been awful, but David makes it work. And in the end, even though it's like you can feel that it's like this wasn't quite what David had in mind for the team. It's like he sets up a new status quo that actually seems like it could work for future stories. So, yeah. Like David, I mean, this is kind of a skill. He takes like bad setups, then like rings gold out of them.
Yeah.
So it's another good volume, and I'm looking forward to reading the next one.
By the way, that's a good talent to have if you want to keep writing.
Oh no, it's absolutely necessary in comic books. I mean, that's how David's been at this for like God knows how long.
Yeah, many years.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, he just keeps finding work because like he's got this talent for being able to write just about anything well.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, after Messiah Complex, X-Men changed its title to X-Men Legacy because because with Professor X being shot in the head, there's no teams. But like just because Professor X is shot in the head, that doesn't mean he's dead.
Right.
Yeah. Instead, he was saved by Exodus, who's basically trying to save. He managed to save Professor X's body, but his mind is shattered in pieces. So he calls on Magneto, Magneto as he is now, because he's ostensibly a human, but as I forgot to mention in the Extremis, it's pointed out that he might not be a human. He might have his own agenda right now. Mm-hmm. But basically the first arc of Legacy, basically Xavier building his mind back together and realizing, God, I've been a dick over the years. All these people have gotten killed as a result of me leading the team. All this selfishness I've displayed as being a founder, all in the name of my dream. God, I've been a dick. It's time to like go back and start going out to find myself. I gotta touch base with everyone and find out what kind of person I used to be, so I can find out what person I want to be in the future. Mm-hmm. Now, this has been marketed as a title for hardcore X-Men fans, people who can like really dig into the continuity. And as one who has a running knowledge of most of the backwaters of X-Men continuity, I enjoyed it. I mean, it's a good story focusing on Professor X's efforts to be a new person. I mean, one of the best parts of this volume is basically him engaging in a psychic battle with Exodus, and Exodus bombarding him with all these psychic images of him like failing as leader of the X-Men, and then Xavier just shaking it off and saying, and going to the finishing blow against Exodus and saying, you know what? Yeah, you tried to weigh me down by showing me the man I was, but that's not who I am now. I've got to go and find out. I don't know who I am. I've got to go and try and find
out who I am.
Yeah, because it's kind of like doing a soft reset on Professor X's character. I mean, he's all these bad stuff. Cause, I mean, his character is riddled with contradictions over the years. Mm-hmm. I mean, like he one time he even faked his death in order to get his X-Men to train better at one point.
Right.
I mean, but so it's interesting to see this journey. I mean, it's really for hardcore X-Men fans, but it's a good. But if you are, it's a good story. And the second volume, Sins of the Father, keeps up the quality level too. So all good stuff. Now, the last of the titles that picks up on the fallout from Messiah Complex is Wolverine. This arc titled Get Mystique. Because, it's like Cyclops has realized, God, Mystique, she keeps screwing us over every single time. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's got the point where, Wolverine, I'm going to send you out. You got to kill her ass now. And it's putting aside the fact that it was that Rogue absorbed part of her mind at the end of Messiah Complex. And some people thought that, oh wait, isn't she kind of comatose right now? Nope, she's not. So just it's a continuity issue, but based on the strength of the story and Get Mystique, I'm going to go ahead and let that slide.
There you go.
Yeah, because this story written by Jason Aaron and illustrated by Ron Garney, it's a lot of fun. I mean, even though to be honest, you know that Wolverine isn't going to actually kill Mystique because she's one of those characters that's been around for years.
Right.
And even if they did kill her, it's like, they just find a way to bring her back eventually.
Exactly.
But really, it's a fun story showing you the how Wolverine and Mystique are kind of two sides of the same coin. I mean, he's a guy who's done a lot of bad stuff. Wolverine's been a bastard in the past. I mean, before he joined the X-Men, he was some aimless drifter who just went around just being a bastard to everyone, I'm doing whatever he wanted because he's this kind of guy. He could do whatever he wanted. And he'd kill people, beat them up, screw them over, and it wouldn't matter because his wounds and everything would be healed the next day. And Mystique though, I mean, even though Wolverine, he's trying to make amends for the person that he was. Right. Mystique, she just keeps being the same bastard she always is. Yeah, and this volume basically has Wolverine tracking her down to Afghanistan.
Wow.
Which, as you can imagine, isn't the best place for an American or even a Canadian like Wolverine to be in these days.
Or a white-skinned Caucasian-looking fella.
And all sorts of bad things happen because Mystique pulls out every single stop in the book to screw him over. Mm-hmm. Yeah, apart from pretending to be him and killing some people, which gets Wolverine machine gunned by the locals. Mm-hmm. Posing as killing a U.S. senator to pose as him, and then Wolverine having to get himself blown up in order to pose as a corpse in order to get into this U.S. secured zone. I mean, it's just really really good stuff, and it's also paralleled by the story of Wolverine and Mystique working together in the 1920s as they're trying to pull this big bank heist. But naturally, things go bad, and you find out that Wolverine, he screwed them over. He screwed his buddies over, but only because Mystique screwed them all over first.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a great thing, and Aaron writes a great Wolverine. I mean, he's this great manly man who just realizes hey, you know what? God, it hurts to be me, but I'm the best there is at what I do, and what I do isn't pretty. He just nails Wolverine's characterization, and even though it's like he's faced with that whole you can't kill Mystique setup, the final conflict between him and Mystique at the end is still great because Wolverine managed to score a great moral victory over her. And like, I won't spoil it because, like I said, I have to say you gotta go out and buy this because even if you, I will say, as opposed to all the other stuff I've been talking about, this Get Mystique is a good standalone story. I mean, you can just know that all you know is like Wolverine's been ordered to kill Mystique due to reasons like that were established in the crossover. Mm-hmm. But and then you can just enjoy this as a good standalone Wolverine story.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's great fun. And the reason I'm ending on this note, though, is because, it's like, well, in case you haven't noticed, we've got another comic movie coming out.
Oh, yeah.
A comic movie involving Wolverine.
Exactly.
Yeah, so naturally, next time, I'm going to be talking all about Wolverine. So, like, in case, like, you weren't completely turned off by all the X-Men stuff I was talking about, I'm going to be talking about their most popular character next week. So, on that note, call it a night, and we'll see you in a week or two.
All right. See you later.